Hello everyone, Laura K. Buzz here, ready to spend, I'm gonna guess, well over an hour delivering an autistic info dump about my favourite band, My Chemical Romance, and what I would argue might be their best overall concept album. Don't worry, you don't need to have any existing knowledge of My Chemical Romance as a band to enjoy this video. My hope is that when I'm done, you'll at least be intrigued enough to give one of their albums a chance at listening to. So here's the pitch. While My Chemical Romance are best known for their 2006 rock opera concept album The Black Parade, I feel like their follow up album, Danger Days The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys, is a stronger concept album and deserves to be appreciated more for its consistent storytelling skill and music genre variety than it is. Before we go any further, I know that a lot of people are going to have strong opinions about what I just said, particularly suggesting that Danger Days is a better concept album than The Black Parade. I'm not saying that Danger Days is My Chemical Romance's overall strongest album, or that you're wrong if you personally prefer a different album over Danger Days. What I'm going to argue is that Danger Days tells a more cohesive and interesting overall story than My Chemical Romance's other albums, that is less reliant on external interviews to interpret consistently, and can be more easily followed as a single narrative by its lyrics alone. Now, while the Danger Days universe does include a companion comic book series, and I do think that is worth reading and checking out, I am going to be avoiding referencing it in my interpretations of the album itself. With the exception of perhaps acknowledging one named robot in a late track in the album, uh, my interpretation of the album is one that I feel stands on its own without generally needing external references to back it up. I might reference the music videos for Na 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 and Sing here and there, but generally speaking, I want to keep it to the lyrical content of the album that someone listening to the album in isolation would be able to pick up on naturally and interpret. So, without any further delay, let's hit the nitro and start discussing My Chemical Romance's often misunderstood neon dystopian masterpiece, Danger Days, The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys. Look Alive Sunshine. This opening track is basically an introduction by a pirate radio station DJ to the world that we're going to be inhabiting.
Look alive, sunshine. 109 in the sky, but the pigs won't quit. You're here with me, Dr. Death Defying.
It's time to wake up, be introduced to this world, you bright eyed and not yet jaded recipient of the story. We're experiencing this introduction to the story through the external lens of this pirate radio DJ, Dr. Death Defying. He makes it clear early on the police are still out there looking to shut down both this pirate radio broadcast and the rebellion we're going to get shortly introduced to. The powers that be do not want you to experience this story of rebellion.
I'll be your surgeon, your proctor, your helicopter, bumping out the slaughtermatic sounds to keep you live.
I'll fix you up, make sure that you follow the rules, and keep an eye on you. Dr. Death Defying is our guide, teaching us the lessons that we're going to need to learn before we try to follow in the footsteps of the heroes ahead of us.
A system failure for the masses, antimatter for the master plan, louder than God's revolver and twice as shiny.
We're going to be tearing down established systems and be the antithesis of what the people in power want in terms of maintaining control. God's not going to be doing anything to save us. We can't be waiting around to be saved by someone else from on high. We're going to have more of a practical impact and hopefully walk away untarnished.
The future is bulletproof. The aftermath is secondary. It's time to do it now and do it loud. Killjoys, make some noise.
Our plan will succeed, and any collateral damage that is needed to achieve that needs to be an afterthought. This is the call to action that's going to be sort of properly addressed in the first main track of the album, Na Na Na. It's this call of don't wait, don't hide, join the rebellion now. Dr. Death Defying here is sort of like giving the sales pitch of go pay attention to what the Killjoys are saying and get on board with their crusade. This is like hearing a radio advert and then you go in person to meet the rebellion, see what they're all about, and that's where Na 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 is going to become our sort of in-person propaganda pitch. Na na na. Na 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 na. I said at the start of Look Alive Sunshine that the story being told in Danger Days, The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys, starts with us joining this world from the perspective of, in my opinion, a bright-eyed newbie excited about the idea of joining a rebellion against fascism. This is someone who has listened to pirate radio broadcasts basically talk about the rebellion happening as a sort of far-off distant thing away from where you are in the world. And Na 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 is you have gone to track down that rebellion and go find out, like, from their word of mouth what it is they're pitching as this path out of fascism. Na 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 is, in my opinion, an energetic, propagandistic recruitment anthem for this rebellion against fascism that we're going to be journeying alongside through the rest of the album. It's not a song that's going to get into the grim, dark realities of what this rebellion is going to need from this new recruit quite yet. This song is the sales pitch. It is the bright and colourful hook to get you to believe that changing the world is possible with nothing more than the right attitude, some neon and laser guns, and some new friends by your side. The pumping drumbeat that accompanies this track and the na 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 refrain, they're the almost playful driving rhythm. They're the thing that's trying to convince you this rebellion is going to be a blast. Slam your foot on the gas, hit the road. There is no time to think. Just fight the system blindly and naively and trust that we're going to come out the other side heroes. The song is, in my opinion, from the perspective of an established rebel. The album is called, in its full title, Danger Days, The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys. The Killjoys are our rebellion. You can sort of see them represented in the music video for Na Na Na. This is the group that is trying to get you swept up as a young adult in the idea of a small group of rebels being able to enact regime change, structural collapse, and fighting the man. In this case, the man, TM, is shown in the video for Na 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 as being this corporate political entity, Better Living Industries, or Blind. Basically the world that's presented in the Na 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 video and that you explore in more depth in the comic books, if you were to explore those, is a world in which basically the United States is owned by a corporate dictatorship. It's what if generic no-name brand Amazon became the political power overrunning the country and enforcing conformity. Your job is to be a good consumer of white label products and not an individual outside of that system. This is basically the current members of the rebellion trying to get you to believe that you can take down this corporate fascist regime by just coming with us and believing. Don't ask questions about the specifics yet. Let's get in and do this. Rebellion is initially presented almost like a party. We're going to have a great time, we're going to feel on top of the world, we're going to feel high as a kite, and we're going to use that to fund our off-the-grid lifestyle. You'll be my detonator. This is, to me, the established member of the Killjoys acknowledging that this fresh blood they are trying to recruit, you, the listener, are going to be what gets their group moving and acting and making solid progress again. This is where, to me, the first elements of critique of the Rebellion's old guard start to sneak into the album. They're barely adults themselves. They're in their 20s or 30s, maybe. They may be well-intentioned, but they're not necessarily great at slowing down to examine themselves, or perhaps the position of privilege that they have as political organizers. I'm very much reminded by this of seeing political organizers often in their, like, mid-20s who don't do the work needed to recognize that when someone looks up to them as someone more politically engaged, there can be a power differential that can be easy to take advantage of and that needs to be taken care to avoid. You can want someone to give their heart to your cause, but you have to be careful not to come across as though you, the leader of a small political movement, want your followers to give their hearts to you specifically.
From our security to every enemy.
From mall security to every enemy. We're casting a really wide net as to who this rebellion is going to be fighting against, at least in this initial propaganda sales pitch. Everything from minor authority figures in your local shopping centre up to a literal corporate fascist regime. We're against it all. We're fighting against all of this. To me, it very much paints the Killjoys as like an anarchist collective of sorts. They have reached such a point of frustration with the fascist corporate regime that is controlling their world that they basically want to fight back against any kind of authority system at all, because all of it feels representative or as if it is tools of the wider fascist regime. We're throwing away ideas of private property ownership and basically propping ourselves up with the appearance of a military organization, despite our ragtag nature and limited numbers. Even if in reality the V formation that we're, declaring ourselves as positioning in isn't going to be a good fit for every scenario, stating that we're going to stand in V formation at least makes us feel like an organized group, like we are somewhat ready to take on a corporate fascist regime that has its own army. We've got an army too. We're standing in V formation. Let's live recklessly with no regard for our health, and sustain ourselves on things that are unhealthy and surface level, fake and manufactured. We will consume, we will devour the things that we stand against. We're deep enough into the fascist regime that words of apology for how much you've harmed the world are not going to be enough. Keep your apology. The Killjoys simply wish to see the fascist power structure burn. Give us more detonation. We are going to have to physically fight back against this threat.
Let me tell you about the sad man. Shut up and let me see your jazz hands.
In my opinion, this is basically... I'm not interested in hearing any more about the specific stories of how the regime has hurt you. Them being sorry or you being sad about the way the regime has treated you is not being productive. You are focusing on your feelings rather than what you're going to do about those feelings. Let me see your jazz hands. Show me that you're energized, you're enthusiastic, and that you are doing something productive, that you are willing to be energetic about the fight and joining us, and not coming here just to talk about how sad you are that this is happening to us.
Remember when you were a madman? Thought you was Batman and hit the party with a gas can. Kiss me, you animal.
We need the version of you to enlist that is erratic, willing to be an unsanctioned vigilante, ready to burn some buildings down, and maybe we'll make out in the thoughtless aftermath of the carnage that we cause. We're going to cause chaos and mayhem and find that sexy. We're still sort of selling this big overall picture that rebellion is a fun, sexy idea to get involved in.
And right here, right now, all the way in Battery City, the little children raise their open, filthy palms like tiny daggers up to heaven. And all the juvie halls and the ribbon rats as angels made from neon and garbage screamed out, what will save us? And the sky opened up.
This is our best sense of the state of the world as it exists in the opening of the album. Kids abandoned in the prison system, abandoned kids with disabilities, kids abandoned generally for being different or against the status quo, praying to gods that will not help them. Gods made of bright lights and discarded corporate waste. praying for them to be lifted up from a system that is keeping them down by design if they don't or won't conform. It is praying to be lifted out of the system by the very gods that need you to be held down by the system for it to function.
Everybody wants to change the world. Everybody wants to change the world, but no one wants to die. Wanna try now. I'm being dead.
Deep into the track, when the energy is pumping and you're singing along and the adrenaline's running and you're willing to sign up for the cause, hyped up, this is the first time that the Killjoys acknowledge what they must acknowledge before you sign the dotted line at your most susceptible moment. Are you willing to lay down your life if needed to see political change? You need to say yes to this, and if you do, they'll happily detonate you if you agree to be the bomb for them.
Make no apology. It's just a victory. On my authority, crash and burn, young and loaded. Drop like a bullet shell, just like a sleeper cell.
Once you're in, you're committed. We win or we die. We are young and dangerous. Drop like a bullet shell, a spent casing no longer useful after it's done being violent. Be activated to that violence on our command.
I'd rather go to hell than be in a purgatory. Cut my hair, gag and bore me, pull this pin, let this world explode.
The status quo is boring, safe, controlled. If we have to do something that might have us seen as the villains in order to escape this corporate dystopia, that's preferable than living under this bland predictability. The alternative is they will strip us of signifiers of self like our hair, shut us up, force us to conform. Pull this pin, let this world explode. Let's not miss the message in the excitement. The Killjoys feel that change will come from a violent shake-up and no other means. This is the ultimate thing that is like hidden in the excitement and the propagandistic burst of this opening track. You are signing up to be part of a military rebellion. You are signing up to not just sit and this is not rebellion in the sense of the way that Heaven is presented in The Good Place as a well-meaning liberal think tank that are like, oh, okay, well, we'll set up a committee, and in the next 300 years, that committee will vote on whether to take action on finding a solution to the thing that's hurting people today. We, as a rebellion, as the Killjoys, are going to need to do something about this fascist regime right now, and the action we've decided to take is violent opposition. If you're in, we're not open to discussing that. That is the direction of the rebellion. No matter how overexcited you were when you signed on the line, we're going to have to bring you around to the idea of you are going to be a tool in a violent fight against the state.
Gravity don't mean too much to me.
Bulletproof Heart. With the initial propaganda call to arms out the way, we take a moment in the album to breathe a little, as the Killjoy that has recruited us takes a moment to acknowledge and sell the vision that there is no turning back from this. It's a little less go, 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 join the rebellion, join the rebellion. It's more a moment of testing your resolve as a new recruit. Is your heart strong enough to not turn back and run back home 2 to 3 days from now when you miss your loved ones, you miss your friends, you miss your parents, or you see family members on TV begging you to run away from this group that's being portrayed as terrorists that you have joined? Are you strong enough that when you see yourself on TV being painted as a dangerous domestic terrorist or standing up against your current occupying government, that you will be able to commit to being part of this group and not panic and run home and go, oh, they lied to me and convinced me to join. I didn't mean it. Can you stomach it out a few days in when everything's cooled down slightly and you've realized I am going to be portrayed as the enemy by the media, and this is a real war that I'm being drafted into.
I'm who I've got to be. These pigs are after me, after you.
This rebellion is basically being represented as being about being yourself, regardless of what the state apparatus wants from you. I think as a trans person, this is why a lot of this really resonated with me when I first heard it. It's this very specific, you've got to be who you've got to be, even if you are in a world where you are going to be chased down by the police for it. We're in this together. It still romanticizes a little bit. This is not getting into, like, fully facing the realities of rebellion, but it's starting to go, you are going to face the wrath of the law for being yourself and publicly aligning yourself with our Be Yourself movement. We're going to be in it together. You've got community in this.
And we could run away if we could run away from it.
Again, this track is very much, it feels like this song is the leader of the Killjoys taking your hand and basically presenting the rebellion as, I'll take your hand and we'll run into the sunset together. It's this idealism of the very basic idea of running away to join the rebellion.
Got a bulletproof heart. You got a hollow point smile.
This line is this sort of perfect combination. The leader of the rebellion cannot be harmed, and you are a weapon that can tear through any defense. The combination of something bulletproof and something hollow point is, I can't be harmed and you can tear through anything. It's a sword and shield. It is the ultimate pair. Again, romanticizing the idea of you specifically as fitting into the rebellion as something vital and important, that the rebellion could not exist without you specifically playing your part.
Let's blow a hole in this town and do a talking with the laser beam. Getting out of this place in a bullet's embrace, then we'll do it again.
We're past the point of asking for change. We are going to use violence to do the talking and make that change happen. But neon laser beams are a colourful veneer, a pretty face that is being plastered over the reality of what we're building to asking of you. We are going to ultimately be asking you to shoot corporate government officials. You are probably going to be shooting and murdering people. But when we talk about it as doing our talking with the laser beam, pew pew, little rainbows, it doesn't quite feel as dark of a reality yet as it's going to. Now, the recurring bridge section of this song is really interesting. There's a couple of examples of it, but it's basically multiple, like, news reports of parents calling for their children to come home, and discussion of having to fight the urge to go back, to drop your teenage rebellion. It's that thing I talked about at the start of this track, the idea of, can you resist, can you stick with the rebellion, even when you're seeing your family plead for you to come home and trying to convince you you've made a terrible decision by joining the rebellion? This is one of a couple of these examples of news reports trying to get the kids to flee the rebellion. But this one in particular feels rooted in right-wing evangelical Christians begging their queer leftist activist kids, who have been painted as domestic terrorists for their activism, to give up and come back. Give up on being one of these lefty communists and come back home.
And though I know how much you hate this, are you gonna be the one to save us from the black and hopeless feeling? Will you mean it when the end comes really?
This is the point where this track really puts the savior narrative on the new recruit. Will you be not just one of us, but Will you fight for the cause with the righteous energy of someone who is destined to do this? You might not be a fan of the violence we're going to ask of you, but will you save our movement from this black and hopeless feeling of defeat that has overtaken us? Will you truly mean it? Will you believe in the things we are espousing when the end comes barreling down and it's do or die? Will you be a face of this cause? Sing. This is the first track in the album where I think we start building up an actual manifesto. We start getting away from like the propagandized pitch version of trying to get everyone on board with joining the Killjoys and like feeling special and unique in their part in the rebellion, and more hearing from the Killjoys what they believe. It's maybe not as clear as an actual manifesto would be, but it's a more calm, collected, and serious mantra for the newly recruited Killjoy to hear. A sort of mission statement of a track for what they stand for and what they want the world to see them as. This is where the Killjoys really pitch themselves as freedom fighters for the downtrodden and a voice for the voiceless. This is the call to missionary work, the call to spread the message of the group as you fight. Not to just fight, but to pass out literature, to spread the message of why you're fighting.
Every time that they want to count you out and use your voice every single time you open up your mouth. Sing it for the boys, sing it for the girls. Every time that you lose it, sing it for them. Sing it from the heart, sing it till you're not, sing it out for the ones that'll hate your guts. Sing it for the deaf, sing it for the blind, sing about every word that you left behind. Sing it for the world, sing it for the world. Sing it out, boy, they're gonna sell what tomorrow means. Sing it out, girl, before they kill what tomorrow will bring. You've got to make a choice if the music drowns you out. And raise your voice every single time they try and shut your mouth.
This is where the song really gets into more specifics of the threat that we are facing. This is Better Living Industries, our sort of generic corporate dictatorship. Capitalism is going to sell off your future to the highest bidder, kill off any chance of us making like meaningful political progress as a nation or a world. They are going to strip you of everything that makes you you, and you need to push back now, because if you do not, they are going to silence the last few people willing to speak out. And the impetus to get new people speaking out at that point is going to get harder and harder. They want to silence the idea of a rebellion, and we are some of the few final voices continuing to open our mouths despite the consequences of doing so. That is your weapon here.
Cleaned up corporation progress, dying in the process. Children that can talk about it, living on the railways. People moving sideways, sell it till your last days. Buy yourself the motivation generation. Nothing but a dancing product of a white dream. I am not the singer that you wanted, but a dancer. I refuse to answer. Talk about the past, running for the ones who want to get away. Keep running.
This is the point where we really emphasize the, again, more of that threat of what we're facing, but what we need to do about it. The most important thing in the face of this rebellion that is trying to face what this corporate dystopia has created is do not let them catch you or stop you, because if they stop your message, our message, the message, if they shut you up, then the message dies with us. It very much is. It very much assumes that we, as a group of killjoys, are the last ones willing to risk ourselves to spread this message. The point of Sing is that you're continuing to speak out despite the risk it puts you at is the thing that keeps you going. If you have to be a pirate radio station run from a little shack, or perhaps a vehicle that's moving around and is hard to track, or get in, drop your message and run, drop a bunch of leaflets, shout some stuff from some megaphones and get out of there, it is important, as much as it is important to be willing to die for the message, don't die if you can help it, because that's one fewer person using their voice to spread that message of the need for rebellion. Planetary Go. Now, this track more so starts to discuss the risks of what happens if you don't take those chances at personal risk to push the goals of the rebellion forward. It's this idea that the ability to fix the world and to get us back to the world we kind of dream of could just be one checkpoint further.
It could be something right past the turnpike gates, but you'll just never know. If my velocity starts to make you sweat, then just don't let go. And if the heaven ain't got a vacancy, then we just get up and go.
This is us actually jumping into the work and acknowledging the threats. Hold on tight, because we're going to have to move fast in unsafe zones. And if one of us falls and is injured, or we don't have the option anymore to die a good person, we say fuck it to being a good person. We just get up and go. We keep moving, we keep doing, we keep being alive, we keep moving forward, because if we stop, if we think, if we mourn for too long for anyone we've lost, if we get too hung up on the morality of things, we will get caught and we will be stopped. There are going to be losses, and we have to be okay abandoning and keeping pushing the mission forward. We have to be laser focused on the goals we are aiming for, because we are outnumbered, outgunned, and we are not going to achieve them if we do not laser focus in on achieving, regardless of the costs, the aims we are working toward.
Ladies and gentlemen, truth is now acceptable. Fame is now injectable. Process the progress. This core is critical. Faith is unavailable. Life become incredible. Now, please understand that I can't slow down. I won't be waiting for you. I can't stop now because I'm dancing. This planet's ours to defend. Ain't got no time to pretend. Don't fuck around. This is our last.
So at this point in the song, we're sort of critiquing the state of the world that it's gotten itself into at this point. Truth is now acceptable, fame is now injectable, but it's also emphasizing this idea of like, I'm not, as the leader of the rebellion, talking to this new recruit, I won't baby you. You're gonna have to get up to speed with the rebellion or get left behind. Because with the serious warnings out the way, I'm going to enjoy the rebellion. As the leader of the rebellion, as this, I might as well name the character, we'll get to them later. Party Poison is sort of our perspective character of the leader of the rebellion, so I'm going to start talking about them by name. Party Poison is basically going here, I am going to enjoy the rebellion. I'm going to dance my way through the carnage towards saving the world. So, you're going to have to get the job done and keep moving if you don't want to be left behind by us. We're not just here to do the job, we're here to revel in the joy that is getting to be the ones that tear this system down. This sort of further fuels the outsiders resisting assimilation narrative. Again, I think a lot when I think about this album, about listening to this just around the time I was coming out as trans, and it speaks a lot to how I felt as a trans teen, with parents who were kind of pressuring me to not come out of the closet or to go back into it, or to at least like slow down my emerging from the closet. A lot of this album captures that the frustration and anger I had at that time of just wanting to break that system and go, fuck it, we're doing it now or never, and ignore all of their attempts to slow down my coming out, and just do it and never look back. I'm largely avoiding using the music video's world building in this discussion of this album, but Better Living Industries is basically white, generic, featureless corporate fascist dictatorship. It's fascism by conformity, and the push is for there to be space for individuality. The Killjoys' largest complaint that they raise, like textually in the album, is wanting to be free of a ruling class that thinks that the world would be better if everyone was the same and if we were stripped of individuality. That kind of idea that rather than embracing that we're all different and being okay with that, it would be better if it was simply enforced that everyone was the same. How are we going to make everyone be the same? Let's not think about the murders, deportations, eugenics that would be required to get to that point. The ideal endpoint should just be that everyone is the same, and then we won't have any bigotry, because everyone will just be generically identical enough. Fuck anyone born into that system who's not perfect. It reminds me a lot of there's this comic book I absolutely love, this series of comics called Bitch Planet. It is about a dystopian future where women who are not doing femininity correctly are basically shipped off to a space prison and branded with a tattoo that labels them non-compliant. This could be anything from doesn't respect quote-unquote traditional gender roles to is gay, overweight, trans, and it is this sort of comic about reclaiming pride in one's femininity and being proud of the ways in which you are non-compliant as a woman. It's a very similar idea being explored, and one that, yeah, I feel like a lot of people can get on board with the idea of a rebellion against a system that goes, you will be removed from the system entirely if you do not conform properly. This is where we start getting actual imagery of what the Killjoys Rebellion is going to look like. Setting up pirate radio stations, taking control of electronics, presumably to hijack them and use them to share the rebellion's message, or in other ways hack them for the greater good. Things like, we see an example of this in the Na 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 music video, using hacking to dispense items for free from Better Living Industries, vending machines as presumably a way to sort of Robin Hood, steal from the rich, give to the poor, but also burning effigies to show the enemy that they can't prevent us torching their image. The idea of trying to visibly strike fear into the hearts of the Faceless Corporation by making their destruction something tangible we can project into the world, and that other people can see the idea that an effigy of this Faceless Corporation can be tangibly dealt with. Are you having fun in the rebellion, new recruit? Don't answer that, it's irrelevant. We're going to move on to our next question quickly. Are you holding the weapon of violence and self-defense? Take the money and run, we'll never go home. There is no turning back. You've gone on a mission with us now. You are holding the gun. You are committed. There is no backing down now. There is probably news reports with footage of you running with us. You are one of us. You have been seen complicit in one of our raids, our attacks. You are one of us, and you don't get to pretend that you were swept along with us on false pretenses anymore. You have been seen doing this. You are one of us. And at some point during this album, I'm going to need to talk about this. So this is probably as good a place as any to have this conversation. Gosh, 45 minutes, like 4 or 5 tracks in and 45 minutes in. This is going to be a long video. I've talked a bunch about the fact that the Killjoys are enacting violence to reach their political ends. This is going to become more apparent the further in we go, that the Killjoys are not doing non-violent protest. They are going and, in many cases, doing things like blowing up power infrastructure as acts of rebellion. This is clear if you watch the videos for Na 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 and Sing, but also just looking at the real world, you know, the occupying force and controlling body employ violence to maintain control and their status quo. This is true in the world of the Killjoys. It is true in our real world that an occupying force and controlling body cannot maintain control and a status quo without seemingly employing violence to maintain that. This is a rebellion that has turned to violence because it may be the only tool that a violent apparatus is willing to listen to, respect, or be impacted by. I'm recording this shortly after the murder of Alex Peretti, the second person who has been murdered while protesting ICE's actions in Minneapolis in the United States. It is hard not to think about some of that real-world context while talking about this album right now. I have seen a lot of people who are traditionally left-wing, who are not fans of guns and American gun culture, purchasing guns recently in response to the fact that unarmed, non-violent protesters are being gunned down by what I would argue is a fascist regime trying to exert power against the will of the people. And it is very telling that people who have for their whole lives been incredibly against the idea of gun ownership are feeling pushed into gun ownership in self-defense by the increasing violence of the state. At a certain point, whether we're talking about the real world or fictional rebellions, sometimes people get turned toward arming themselves or being prepared for violence because it may be the only tool that a violent apparatus is willing to listen to, respect, or be impacted by. I am a big believer that, we're talking about the narrative of this album here, the fact that the Killjoys are turning to violence in their rebellion is not indicative that they are in any way not doing the right thing. But I think it is important to note as we go further into this album, the Killjoys are going to be presented as domestic terrorists. They are going to be portrayed as evil and villainous, using the fact that they are enacting violence to achieve their political aims as the messaging against them. They are going to face the, look at these scary people with weapons destroying infrastructure, we have to go defend you from them. It's only right if we kill them to stop their violent rebellion. Yeah. I think this album feels really apt to talk about at this moment. Because the more time goes on, the more the idea of a story about a rebellion that acknowledges that sometimes a rebellion is going to be pushed to violence in response to the violence oppressing it is more relevant now than it was a decade ago, it feels like. The only hope for me is you. This is what I think is sort of the last of the Act 1 songs about romanticizing the Killjoys Rebellion. And again, it's somewhat of a power dynamic song between the rebellion leader and your sort of audience surrogate new recruit, playing on the inherent romance in committing to something so dangerous and one way as this. But it's also, in my opinion, a prelude to the losses that are about to begin or are starting to impact the group. It opens with this haunting refrain of just remember me on repeat. This feels like it is the leader of the rebellion basically saying, look, if I die in the fight to come, I'm going to need two things from you. Remember me, remember my message, and complete my mission for me. Remember me, the only hope for me is you.
Where will you stand when all the lights go out across these city streets? Where were you when all of the embers fell? I still remember there, covered in ash, covered in glass, covered in all my friends. I still think of the bombs they built.
So, this is not the Killjoys' first attempt at taking down the Better Living Industries regime, and it's not Party Poison, the Killjoys' leaders' first time being a part of one of these pushes. The last time this was attempted, all of the power got cut in the city, and Better Living Industries took advantage of the darkness where nobody could see to drop bombs on the rebellion. They cloaked the city in darkness so that the violence they enacted on these protesters, these rebels, could not be witnessed. They destroyed the buildings that the rebels hid within. Party Poison literally stood covered in all my friends, covered in the blood and the destroyed bodies of those that they fought alongside. It's at this point where the album to me really is asking the listener, will you have it in you to keep fighting when that happens again? Not if it happens again, when. Will you freeze? Will you flee? Or will you be radicalized into motivation to continue the fight? Will you stand there covered in the blood and guts of your allies, surrounded by the rubble of buildings, and feel a righteous anger that will fuel you into this fight? This song also sort of represents the last chance for our recruit to back out. Perhaps if we had somewhere else to go, away from the violence, we could run away together. Live a life away from this fight. We could just run away and leave this to everyone else. The problem is, after today, after the next attack we do, the next bit of violence, after you go that one step further and see what Better Living Industries are willing to do in their massacre of us when we rebel, you're not going to feel like running away and living a quiet life somewhere and just leaving this fight to everyone else is going to be an option anymore. This is the point of no return, because seeing your friends get bombed is either going to make you freeze, die, flee and cower, or it is going to commit you to this fight in a way that you will never emotionally feel able to run away from anymore. You will realize it is your fight and that you have to do it. Jetstar and the Cobra Kid. Traffic report.
Bad news from the zones, tumbleweeds. It looks like Jetstar and the Cobra Kid had a clap with an exterminator that went all Costa Rica and got themselves ghosted, dusted out en route Guano. So it's time to hit the red line and upthrust the volume out there. Keep your boots tight, keep your gun close, and die with your mask on if you've got to. Here is the traffic.
Look, this one's not a song, not even that emotionally conveyed. It's just a stating of facts. 2 of our soldiers were murdered. The enemy knows we are here and is going to kill us for our rebellion. The stakes are real and are happening to named characters that, if you saw the Na 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 music video, you will know. These are members of the rebellion that are sort of key enough figures that they are part of the propaganda media about getting you in on this fight. We're going to need to keep moving, keep ourselves armed, don't let them know who you are, have them fear that anyone could be one of the rebels. Die with your mask on if you've got to. Do not let them know who the rebels are. Anyone out there living their day-to-day life could secretly be one of us. You've got to get in and fight now because the casualties are getting close to home. This is where we kick into Act 2. Party poison.
みんな車は満タンだしスーツケースには爆弾詰めている人生は短くて行く道は危険が多いだから踊ろう
So this track opens with some lyrics sung by a woman in Japanese. I'm gonna give you the translation for those. Everybody, the car has a full tank, so we're packing explosives in a suitcase. Life is short, and there are many dangers on the roads we travel, so let's dance. So, to me, Party Poison is the track on Danger Days as an album where Party Poison, our lead Killjoy, kind of snaps. He was part of a group of 4 that we see in the music video for Na Na Na, and 2 of that group just died at once. He is now ready to stop being calm and go a little chaotic, but he's going to do it in a very Killjoy way. It is a dance party to kick off the end of the world, a mosh pit to rev up engines and emotions, ready to throw caution to the wind and head to full-scale war.
Ain't a DJ gonna save my soul. I slowly log it, don't rock that road. Drop the needle when the tape that blow. I'm gonna shout this out so everybody knows. This ain't a party. Get up and dance floor. You want the cat down? Here comes the gang war. You do it alright. I got the answer. 'Cause all the good times they give you cancer. If we were all like you in the end, oh, we'd be killing ourselves by swiping it. So if the lights on, do it again. And keep your cars and your dogs and your famous friends with the rain.
There is no longer any room for fun or camaraderie or building up the team. Act 1, where we were going to pretend this is a fun adventure, that ends here. Now is when we get serious. This is war, and we need to take the invested folks that we have recruited so far and get to fighting for our lives, no turning back.
Ain't nobody gonna take my life. Ain't nobody gonna get the best of me. Ain't a preacher gonna save me now. Grab a seat, I'm gonna show you how. Everybody hit the pyro. We gotta blow this off and show you what we do.
I will not die, I will not be defeated, and I will not be convinced that my use of violence is sinful or something to seek forgiveness for, given its righteous cause. This is revenge for our dead friends. How could fighting in their name against the thing that killed them be anything but a righteous cause? So here we get a little more Japanese. You want to be famous? I want to live forever. I'm gonna explode. This is the heart of the Killjoys mission. Still not directly said for the audience, the world, or the other Killjoys to hear. I think it is important that these sections are sung in Japanese because it is the thing that we're still not saying out loud that is like, I need to get it out, but I'm not necessarily ready for all of you to hear this directly. The truest way for this rebellion to live forever, for this specific rebel to live forever, in his mind is for him to die a martyr. Do you want to be famous? Party Poison wants to live forever. He's going to explode. Save yourself, I'll hold them back. Now, to me, and this is just extrapolation, this is just my wandering mind, there is very little to necessarily textually back up where I'm going to start my thoughts about this song. But I kind of view this track as the Killjoys storming some big Better Living Industries building directly. This is not a firefight picking off random soldiers or an attack on infrastructure like blowing up power generators. but a direct and violent attack directly on their military target. To me, it feels like storming a political building, guns in hand, ready to make your executions, mayhaps. This is the fight. This is the equivalent of storming like an army base or a government building or a corporate headquarters and simply attempting to reduce the numbers of your enemy the way that they have reduced the number of your allies. Na 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 gets reprised in this song, which I think is interesting, because to me it sort of suggests that this is what the early propaganda was really building to. It was upbeat and fun and energetic when it was used for recruitment, but now it's more dark and serious in tone. It's more of a uniting chorus refrain than it is this sort of upbeat, energetic promise.
You ready for a firefight? 'Cause the devil's got your number tonight. We'll never leave this place alive, but if you sing these words, we'll never die. Get up the ledge and trip, and I'm not a victim of a victim's life. This ain't a room full of suicide. We believe it, I believe tonight.
We're never leaving this place alive, but if you sing these words, we'll never die. We, the specific killjoys, may not survive this fight, but if our song, our message, our ideals, and our beliefs, the things that we were spreading back in the song Sing, if they endure, if they get boosted by the reputation of our acts tonight, if what we do tonight gets people talking about our message, then we will never die. This is what Party Poison was hinting at in Japanese.
This ain't a room full of suicide. We believe it, I believe tonight.
This is not us throwing our lives away because we want to die. We are laying our lives down for sincerely held beliefs that we believe will be spread by our actions. But the thing is, this song is also a real acknowledgement that the very attack on better living industries that the Killjoys have committed to is a losing battle. It is one that they have quickly realized they were ill prepared for, even after everything that they did in preparation.
Tell you all how the story ends, where the good guys stop and the bad guys win. This ain't about all the friends you made, but the meaning they write on your grave. All of us have seen the light, silence the dead and lead the fight. Who gives a damn if it is the war? Let the walls come down, let the engines roar.
As the song progresses, the tone remains defiant, as though winning is possible, but the lyrics betray the sudden shift in mindset needed to not back down, despite the fact that we underestimated the fight ahead. We may die, and the villains may win. We salute those who died before us in the fight, and continue in their name. We hope that those who come after us do the same. Who cares if we specifically fail to take down the enemy and win the war? If we take down the walls, show that they can be harmed, that their defenses are not indestructible, then that may rev up the engines of the next set of rebels inspired by our actions. Now, did Party Poison know that this attack was always doomed to fail? Perhaps. Did he represent their chances of winning in order to get them to give the fight a go? Perhaps. Did he believe that a small crack in the enemy's armor was sincerely worth laying down rebel lives to achieve? In my opinion, absolutely.
Save yourself tonight, 'cause I'm coming for you. Can you save yourself tonight?
I've always found the refrain about saving yourself in this song really interesting to me. To me, it feels like a tacit acknowledgement that, yes, Party Poison did indeed knowingly misrepresent the chances of survival to the recruits, and in particular, it feels to me like it's him looking to the audience character and making a sincere effort to give them a chance to escape. Is this altruism? Perhaps, but it may just as easily be, if one of us survives, they'll be the one to carry the message and recruit the next wave. To be essentially me, but for the next group of rebels to lead the next assault. In a sort of cynical view, maybe this is how Party Poison survived the last attack that they went through, the one where they, you know, walked away covered in the blood and body parts of their friends. Someone saved them and told them to run at the last minute, and they felt obligated to repay that by leading the next wave to do what their boss couldn't. That's us now. We are being given that opportunity to survive in the hopes that we recruit the next wave and we lead the next attack. Scarecrow. There's a little bit of fandom debate about what Scarecrow represents, and the Killjoy comics definitely put their thumb on that scale a little bit, but I'm going to be talking about my interpretation of this song when I heard the album initially in isolation. To me, Scarecrow is about Better Living Industries dropping a nuclear bomb on the Killjoys to try and wipe out the rebellion and deny it a chance to reform and regroup. We've had acknowledgement in earlier songs about the fact that Better Living Industries are not afraid to bomb the rebellion, to destroy buildings as collateral damage, to potentially hurt civilians in order to bomb their political opponents. Those references to bombs aren't specific about the scale of the explosions, but I feel confident whether those were references to nuclear bombs or not, this one is. This is explicitly, in my opinion, the fascist regime trying to stop our perspective character, the audience surrogate recruit, from being able to run away and start this new band of rebels. The fascist regime wants the resistance to die here in a burst of flames. It's the mushroom cloud obscuring the sun. Run even if it's futile, because there is no fighting this. And look, I think the album's meaning about this being a bomb is undeniable, with the following in particular. And again, this is not the first time that it's been implied that bombs have been dropped on the Killjoys and their rebellion. Party Poison previously talked about it. This is a cycle of violence. Rebellion being violently squashed down by an infinitely more powerful military apparatus. And here's the thing, if we look back to the previous track, Party Poison told our perspective character, our audience new recruit, to start running before the bomb was even dropped. To me, it feels like Party Poison knew you were going to have to run before the bomb had even been dropped, if you were going to have any chance to be far enough away to survive and keep the message spreading, keep the fight going. The running away was acknowledgement of, oh no, this is the point where we get squashed down. If any of us are going to survive to tell the tale, I kind of know that more than one of us surviving is not an option. Go. Summertime. Now, for an album that has been as dark as this has been, with its tracks on such a sad and defeatist streak about the chances of changing anything in the fight against fascism, Summertime's upbeat melody and romantic lyrical tone may feel somewhat out of place on a first listen. I'll admit, the song was the piece of the album that I initially felt unsure how to fit into my read on the concept album story. But sitting down to put words to the story as I saw it, something clicked for me. Summertime is the breaking of the cycle. We don't escape the Scarecrow bomb alone. We grab Party Poison and take them with us. We run from the bomb together. We ignore their fatalistic save yourself, I'll hold them back, and more than one of us gets to live another day.
If you stay, I will leave and wait all night. Or until my heart explodes. Till we find our way in the dark and out of harm. You can run away with me anytime you want.
Party Poison planned to lay down their life for the cause, and didn't die. They are alive today, and suddenly have to re-examine what they want to do with their life, a life that they didn't expect to have. Talking openly about my own life, I was a pretty depressed teenager, and I fully planned to kill myself as a teenager. And then I didn't. And suddenly, I was older than the oldest age I ever thought I would live to see. I was past the age that I assumed I would have killed myself by. And I had to imagine living into the future. I had to imagine life past the point I had assumed it would end. And that's difficult. And that feels like the emotion that this song in the concept album context is exploring.
Turn my headphones up real loud. I don't think I need them now. 'Cause you stopped the noise.
This is sort of talking about the bond of finding someone who quiets that noise and the chaos and the stress of the world around you. But again, in the context of the concept album, you found this person that shuts up the noise, but does that mean you could leave this fight behind? We talked about this in an earlier part of the album. Could you go and live a nice quiet life with them and just ignore the reality of what the world is doing, the fact that the world is tearing people apart? Could we run away, soothed by each other's presence, and just let this fight be someone else's problem? In the midst of Summertime as a song, it feels like there's hope that maybe that's possible, that maybe we survived the fight and we've done enough, we've done our part of the fight, and someone else will pick it up in our stead. Maybe it is okay if we just enjoy the fact we're alive and don't make more of this fight our own. It doesn't last. Destroyer. The thing is, Summertime's dream in the aftermath of survival is short-lived. It's a flood of emotions baked into survival when you thought you were going to die, and newly flourishing potential feelings of romance. It's not a long-term plan. We need to finish the fight. We cannot let joy at surviving another day stop us being committed together to the fight. Now, I said at the start of this video I wasn't going to talk about anything outside of the album itself in terms of my interpretations of the concept album, because I do think that largely Danger Days gives you enough material to understand its story through the album, its lyrics, and potentially the two narrative music videos. Destroyer is the one exception I will make to this. Destroyer is a Better Living Industries developed robot, decommissioned for being too large and unruly to be useful in a practical sense, that in the Danger Days comics, the remaining living Killjoys basically find and take control of this robot, Destroyer. I think knowing that does, in this one case, add some context that I don't think you would necessarily get from the album itself. In my read of the album as a concept, the remaining living Killjoys who survived the fight that just went down managed to get away before being blown up by the nuclear bomb, make one last ditch plan to win this war. Find and take control of Destroyer. Now, maybe this is literally only 2 people. Maybe this is only the prospective audience character and Party Poison. We're going to push this fight one step more and demonstrate the fact that even dropping a nuke on our rebellion is not enough to stop us continuing to push forward the fight. To me, this is where the Killjoys start to come to terms with the idea that perhaps the only way to win this war is to take actions that undoubtedly are going to paint them as villainous to the population of Battery City, or at least be incredibly easy for the media to spin to paint them as villainous. There is no God who will save us, no luck that will turn this fight around. The population doesn't see us as heroes, but our actions will have to speak on our behalf. What identity do you have left when a hyper-capitalist society refuses your ability to engage in that very capitalism that is meant to be your identifier? Now, I love this as someone that lives in the UK and hates the Sun newspaper as a right-wing shit rag. Against the Sun, we're the enemy. If I'm ever protesting against the Sun newspaper, I'm going to have Destroyer going through my head. But also, you know, I really like this line because against the Sun, we're the enemy. If Better Living Industries can blot out the Sun with the mushroom cloud of their nuke, then so can we with, you know, turning their towering robot against them. If you listen to the track, the stomping drums, when paired with this sort of idea of blocking out the sun, to me it feels like we are stomping right up to their door, using their own creation against them as a weapon. For the first time, the Killjoys maybe have Better Living Industries on the back foot. If nothing else, we're welcoming them to come and try and fight us. You tried to have us run and hide from your bomb. Now, you show us if you can resist running and hiding when the tides are turned, albeit perhaps briefly. The kids from yesterday. So, most stories about Rebellion would draw a firm conclusion about if the heroes won or were defeated, but Danger Days ends on a much less conclusive note, open to interpretation. We have, over the course of this journey, had to grow up. We've gone from propagandized into a fun rebellion into seeing the realities of war. We have lost our innocence somewhat in this fight for freedom. We are the kids of yesterday. This might be the last fight we ever take. I personally see this song as an acknowledgement that this wave of the rebellion probably does end here in defeat. But in that moment, even if this is the last of all the rides that this group of Killjoys takes, they're not going to look back. You only live forever in the lights you make. It's not the martyrdom or the death or the victory, but it's the moments where you kept fighting that shine and will be remembered. Your only legacy is what you do, and you're going to need to shine bright if you want to live on forever in that light. The rebellion may have failed, but by staying alive and fighting another day, you made a statement. By not being destroyed in the atomic bomb and piloting Destroyer right into the city, you may have inspired a new group of rebels by showing them that more than they imagined is possible in terms of pushback against the regime. You didn't simply die for the cause, you showed the cause at its most powerful, breeding new ambitions in those who come in your footsteps. Not even the most powerful weapon of the enemy could stop you getting back up and taking one more swing, and that is a powerful image to see. Good night, Dr. Death. Most people would agree that this track is the end of the concept album. We end as we start with a radio broadcast about the state of the rebellion.
All right, children. The lights are out and the party's over. It's time for me, Dr. D, to start running and say goodbye for a little while. And I know you're gonna miss me, so I'll leave you with this. You know that big ball of radiation we call the sun? Well, it'll burst you into flames if you stay in one place too long. That is if the static don't get you first. So remember, even if you're dusted, you may be gone, but out here in the desert, your shadow lives on without you. This is Dr. Death Defying, signing off.
The rebellion may have to retreat and go quiet for a bit, hide until the heat goes down before another push. But you can't stay stagnant. You have to keep moving. You may die. I believe the characters that we followed in this story did. But your shadow lives on without you. The shadow you cast and the lights you left will persist. The song ends with the American national anthem playing at the end of a broadcast day. The systems of power in that nation still stand and have not been toppled, but they can be interfered with, overcome, and drowned out by the static at the end. Vampire money. Now, I think most people would agree that this is not part of the concept of the concept album. This is a bit of a break in most people's understanding from the concept. It is a track that was written about My Chemical Romance as a band, refusing the money that they were offered to write a song for the movie Twilight. It is a rejection of that vampire money. In some ways, to me, I think there is some merit in trying to explore this as being connected to the concept of the rest of the album. It feels like it is the rebellion continuing against the corporation even after the characters, the narrative, and the masks have dropped. Everything that was the story happening in universe, in fictional 2019 in Battery City, that is all gone. But even past that, we still kind of should be thinking about, in the real world, ways that you as a person can fight back against being co-opted by capitalism and that sort of thing. In many ways, to me, it's a continuing of that punk rock party to energize you into change energy. A message that you shouldn't end the story depressed about the losses of the Killjoys, but energized, ready to find ways to fight that fight in your real life outside of the concept album's context. In some ways, it feels like we as the listener during Vampire Money are that new generation. being given the album's message again in a new setting, a new place and time, in the hopes that we hear the message and we continue the fight forward. So yeah, that was about an hour and a half of recording. It might be a little shorter than that by the time I've trimmed it down a bit, but that was an hour and a half of me talking about this album at length. Yeah, Danger Days, for all that I love Welcome to the Black Parade as an album, and I do think it is a superb, fantastic album of back-to-back banger tracks, I think that in order to properly understand the concept album nature of the Black Parade requires a lot of external reading and interviews and clarifications, and as a standalone album, it's not always easy with the Black Parade to intuit the non-linear nature of its story and pick up the entirety of the story it's trying to play out. But to me, Danger Days is far more like listening to if you went and listened to the track Spanish Train off of Cristobur's similarly titled album, for example, it feels like listening to a proper concept narrative as song done as a whole album. I think that the story here of Rebellion that doesn't shy away from the messier aspects of how people are recruited into Rebellion and the risks and dangers and challenges of trying to topple something as big as a corporatized fascist regime. The idea that just because you can't individually take them down doesn't mean that your fight won't inspire the next wave that inspires the next wave that makes progress, and that it is worth fighting for and pushing to do that one more thing that's going to push things in the right direction. Yeah, Danger Days is a masterpiece of an album, and I really hope that this gets you to give it a listen, either for the first time or to revisit it, and appreciate it for the masterwork of a piece of storytelling that I think it is. Thank you very much for listening. If you enjoyed this, let me know, and maybe I'll make more autistic info dump content about My Chemical Romance and their music. Thank you very much. Goodbye.